everybody. Yeah, this is Law 2020. I know you've been waiting for this. It is a Sunday after Valentine's Day, so hopefully everybody made it through that very, very nicely, and that you're not thinking about any kind of divorce problems or anything like that. It was a day to celebrate your love, and we have Wade Boyette in here. He is from the BCN Law firm. We'll give you all the contact information a little bit later. And we got Wesley Reed in here from Ameriprise Financial. There you go. And we want to include you on the program. Can we do that? All right. How about 855-297-9696? 855-297-9696. That is the number you use to call in and ask any legal question you've got, or maybe you've got a financial question you want to ask today. We want you to be able to do that. So here we are on the noon hour. Let your friends know on the social networks that we are all together. Have them join the party. And again, it's 855-297-9696. Wade Boyette, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful. Enjoying this weather. I know we only have a few more weeks of this cold weather or cool weather. Enjoying that. And, by the way, for those who are finished Valentine's Day and it didn't go as well as expected, BCN does have a great divorce law department, so just give us a call.
Well, I always say on all of the legal shows I do, and I've done 31 years of them here on this station, and that is that people will get through the holidays. They'll hold it together. They'll say, as much as we can't stand each other, smile for the relatives, smile for mom and dad, the kids, and neighbors, but right after the first of the year, you better get with your lawyer. I'm going to get with mine. House goes on the market, and all of our assets have got to be split. And we got a financial guy in here today, and it's all got to go right. And, boy, you better be represented. You take my word for that, all the money I pay every month.
It's amazing. I see that trend every year. In our estate planning practice, I see, unfortunately, a lot of people make it through Christmas or make it through Thanksgiving, and it's amazing. Our probate practice really picks up after the holidays. Our family law practice picks up after Valentine's Day. So it is. There's sort of a trend there.
Wow. All right. Don't forget the phone numbers, 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. Wesley, tell the people at home what you do, besides you've got the best radio voice of anybody in this whole building right now.
Oh, I might have to go with the second best on that one.
I wouldn't say that.
Actually, financial advisor, helping people with comprehensive financial planning, kind of a soup-to-nuts operation, investments, insurance, estate planning. Our focus right now is actually on our patented confident retirement approach. And that is where we actually have drilled down the whole retirement process into 4 steps, that being making sure that we cover the essentials, ensuring your lifestyle, protecting against what's unexpected, and where Wade and I partner probably the most is on leaving a legacy.
Mm-hmm. There are so many people, and I don't know how many times we have to approach this on the air. There are so many people that live day to day, year to year. They've got their profession, but they never think about what's going to happen on the day that they step away from that profession, and the buckets of money are there, but all of a sudden the money's going out, and there's nothing coming in unless you have a financial plan. But how many people do you talk to around Orlando and Central Florida that will say, well, I'm a teacher, I'm a fireman, I'm a radio announcer, I don't have enough money to have a financial planner?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that the general public has, is that if you don't have millions of dollars, that you don't need a financial advisor, when in fact you probably do, especially for those teachers that are involved in FRS or other Florida retirement systems, firemen, policemen, people like that still have the same needs that everyone else does. Financial planning is so much more than just money management, particularly when you get into protecting against the unexpected, against a disability, against some of the healthcare costs that could possibly affect you in retirement.
Well, I try to explain to the people up where I live in the villages that arguably they need financial planning. If they were a middle-income family, they need it worse than the guy sitting down south with a $2 million estate. Because the $2 million estate, he may have a little wiggle room when it comes to making mistakes, unless you're like Joe Robbie and pulled what they did. But, that was just a whole disaster, but we all learned from it. But if you go back and you look at these people that may only have a 401k, an IRA, a nice pension coming in, they better darn well have a financial planner, because 30 years in retirement, that's a long time for your money to last when you got very little coming in.
Oh, it absolutely is. And with people living longer every day, we cannot stress enough, get planning and to get planning early. And you're right. You know, if somebody, for example, has 10 or $20 million, there's quite a bit of wiggle room in that. But the average person doesn't, and they do need a financial plan. And how do we make that money last? You know, years and years ago, when the expected retirement age might have been 65 and the average person was dead before 70, it wasn't that difficult. But today, with statistics that married baby boomers, 50% will live to age 100. Wow. That's quite a few people. If they're stepping away from the workforce at 65, that's 35 years of making that money last.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you can still pick up a little bit as a Walmart greeter or somebody at the Publix, but, you know, you got to make enough money to live on.
Sure.
So you want to have things like your house paid for. You want to have some investments. And, again, I love the pairing up here. You got Wade, who says, all right, I can draw up all the legal papers you need, but we got you, Wes, who's going to tell them what they need.
Sure.
So you guys cover each other very, very well, and I see a great association there that Mary and Tom move here from Kansas City. They need a good people down here that they can trust, Ameriprise, well-known name, you know, and BCN Law Firm. The great thing about BCN, as you know, Wes, is these guys individually have been around here for decades.
Yeah.
They know where all the bodies are buried. They know where the good people are and the bad people are. And so it just stakes with you want to come down to a place with and have roots. And Central Florida doesn't have a lot of roots because we all moved here from someplace, you know? So, Wade, how's this all going together for you, bud?
It's going great. You know, Wes and I have been working together for years now, and it's nice to have the confidence. I, you know, refer a lot of my clients over to Wes, and, you know, I see clients come in, and, you know, we were talking about people, teachers and firemen, et cetera, but I've had Wes work with clients from that sector all the way to high net worth clients, and Ameriprise and Wes, they do a great job. You know, what we have to do, we were just talking about it on the way over here, you know, about where we think the economy's going in 2015, 2016, both from an investment standpoint, the strength of the U.S., the real estate market. And, you know, it just blows my mind, just a wealth of knowledge, you know, Wes had just driving over here, just, you know, listening to what he had to say about it. So, you know, it's great. When clients sit down, one, they feel very confident and comfortable with Wes, which is nice. And everybody has different objectives. Some of my clients who are in the retirement stage, they don't want to take risks.
Yeah.
You know, they're scared to death of the stock market. I don't blame them because with the stock market, there is some risk. And at 70, 75, 80 years old, you need that. You need to be a little more conservative. That's fine. Wes has a platform for that.
Mm-hmm. Wes, you know, one of the things that I think of when we think about long-term planning is the stuff that you're helping people think about because people don't know about the unexpected. You know, we had 9/11. Nobody on 9/10 was worried about the stock market being paralyzed when a whole country lost 3,000 people. Nobody thought about businesses throughout this nation being shut down for as long as they were and how much economic impact. It was in the billions. And one day everybody thought we're happy, and the next day. So look at the money, not only the lives that were lost, but look at the money that was lost, that it's not just the 3,000 people, but a lot of other people were terribly affected. You got families that are living the rest of their lives on respiratory, our firemen, our policemen, people who are in the buildings. So you just never know, and you can't put this off. You can't say, I'll go see, you know, Law 2020. I'll go see Wade in 3 weeks. I'll get my will done. I'll get all my paperwork done. You never know. You just never know when it's going to happen, so you better get your ducks in a row. And I don't want to be an alarmist. I'm just saying that things do happen. And right now, this country is about one ISIS phone call away from probably having some problems. Am I right?
That is true. I mean, and that's one of the things that Wes was talking about today is he goes, he was telling me, I think the economy looks great. I think the U.S. looks strong, but, and that's that but that we all have to worry about.
Sure. Yeah. And again, I was telling Wade, the U.S. economy does look strong on the overall, but you're right. You know, one terrorist attack on this soil could cause a knee-jerk reaction, reminiscent of 9/11.
Yeah, and you know, something else that I was thinking of the other day is what may be good for one part of the economy may be bad. For years, you were in the oil industry, and you were rolling in the dough. And then all of a sudden the gas prices started going down, 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 down. Now they're going back up again.
Sure.
But as long as they were going down, most of us in Orlando were thinking, isn't this great? But I had a lot of friends in Texas who were being laid off. A lot of families who were having to go down to the food pantry and get food because they'd been laid off. Truck drivers, the drillers, the people on the grounds, and the office workers, because oil got down to a place where it wasn't profitable to do it anymore. So you got your upside to the economy, you got your downside.
And that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
There's no perfect storm, so to speak, but there is definitely for every up there is a down. Mm-hmm. And part of I like to say one of my real duties to the clients is to help them navigate the certainties of uncertainty that we just
I like that.
We just don't know what's going to happen, but to try to keep ourselves in the best position to be prepared for that.
I like that. Say that again.
Oh, that'd be to prepare for the certainties of uncertainty.
I love that. All right, when we come back, we'll take your phone calls. We're just pointing out, and I didn't want to be melodramatic with that whole thing. I partially apologize for that. But again, on September 10th, nobody had a problem. Next day, there were a lot of problems, and you need to just think about those things, and that's why you have to have some protection. And it's 12:19 now. We're going to take a break for the 3 big things you need to know. And then we'll take your calls and your text. You can text us at 21232. Ring us up at 855-297-9696. BCN Law Firm. We'll give you contact information when we come back. Hey, welcome back. This is Law 2020, brought to you by the offices of the BCN Law Firm. 855-LAW-2020. That's the number. 855-LAW. That's 529-2020. Offices in Winter Park, Claremont, Lakeland, and brand new offices in the Villages. I'll be down there visiting them tomorrow afternoon. And, of course, we have Wade Boyette with us right now. And from Ameriprise Financial, he's been on the show a few times. We have got Wesley, and your last name is Reed.
Correct.
So I've been talking to business people about their business cards. We need to blow this up for people like me that have no eyes anymore.
Here, wait, pass him this one over here. I got him.
That's
a full-size brochure.
It's a king-size brochure.
I put my picture on there just for you.
I like that. There you go. No, have you noticed on with all the stuff we have to have on a business card anymore, and especially in some enterprises, you got to put everything on there legally. That the type's getting smaller and smaller, and we're getting older and older. That really was a stretch from this show. But anyway, if you've called in the show, 855-297-9696, we want to get you on the air. So, Joe, what are you calling about, bud?
Hi. I moved to Florida here within the last year, a permanent residence. And I worked civil service in another state, and I contributed to the 457 plan. My question is, I haven't needed to draw on that yet, but when I do, will I owe state tax to the state I earned it in and contributed to, or is it going to be no state tax? I know I have to pay federal. That's my question, since I'm now a permanent resident of Florida.
You are a permanent resident, and where's your plan administrator, Joe?
My plan administrator is the actual city that I work for.
Well, but you're living here now full time. You're a full time resident. The check's going to come here. It should be taxed here in Florida, and as you know, Florida does not have an income tax.
Correct.
You are definitely a permanent resident?
Yes, I am.
Then you should be fine.
Okay, great. That's you try and get a straight answer from it, and everybody's got a different opinion. But I'm glad I got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very good. We also have Greg on the line, and Greg, how can we help you?
I'm the named executor in my late father's will, and he had no probate assets, but instead named me the beneficiary. So his bank account went straight to me. We did not open up a formal probate process. So my question is, am I going to be the one to sign his tax returns that I have to file? And can I do that just by being the named executor because we didn't open up the formal probate process?
Yeah, and Greg, I would not open up a probate just to sign the tax return. If I were you, I'd just go ahead and sign it as the executor. Just sign it. You can't sign it as the executor because you're not the executor until someone appoints you executor, being named in a will, it was just your father's wishes. You have to actually be appointed executor. But just go ahead and sign the return as a representative, and you should be fine. The key thing is making sure the last tax return does get filed.
How does one go about being appointed a representative?
You have to file, and he mentioned filing probate. You would have to file a formal administration, and you'd have to file a petition to get appointed personal representative. Your dad did the right thing, naming you beneficiaries of the accounts. That accomplished the same thing as if you were appointed beneficiary, you were named as the beneficiary in the will. So, your dad did a good job. Luckily, things worked out. They don't always work out that well, but you don't need to open a probate.
Well, that's great. That brings to mind the gentleman that called about the 457 a while ago, guys. That kind of brought to mind, you have a lot of clients because Central Florida is just full and blessed to have all these people who are professionals who go from state to state to state to state or countries and making money in all those places.
Oh, we do. I mean, I have a lot of professional athletes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so you end up dealing with, where is their income taxed? And there are certain rules for, we won't get into the professional athlete situation, but that is always a concern. There's the federal tax, federal income tax, but there's also state income taxes. And people love states such as Florida because we don't have a state income tax.
Right.
That's why we have so many people living here that are high net worth individuals. So you do have to be concerned about, where are you going to end up paying state income tax?
And a lot of times it will make the headlines that a certain state's going to start saying, well, Wade came up here and he entered into this profession and he made the money in my state. Even though his paycheck was written in Florida, it was my state where he did it.
Well, a lot of my estate planning clients that are from up north, they'll move down here and they have dual residences. They'll live here 6 months. They'll live in New York, say 6 months. I can tell you, if you continue to own assets in New York will do everything they can to pull you back into their tax system. Yes. They need the revenue. And so I have to work with clients on what are the best ways of establishing residency and how do we get the accounts here so that there are accounts here in Florida. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to move all accounts, but there are things that we can do so that you're not taxed in a different state and you're under the tax rules of Florida.
Hey, Wes, can you give us your website and phone number, please?
I can. Actually, the website is Ameriprise Advisors. That's AmeripriseAdvisors.com, and that's a /WESLEY.x.REED. You can also search me on Facebook. That's Wesley C. Reed, CRPC. And the phone number at the office is 352-394-8453.
All right, very good. And if you want to get a hold of the BCN Law Firm, go bcnlawfirm.com, bcnlawfirm.com, or you could simply call 855-529-2020. That's 855-LAW-2020. Always willing to give you a few minutes of free advice in Winter Park, Claremont, Lakeland, and the Villages. We'll be back with more. We got the phone lines open at 855-297-9696. Welcome back. It's called Law 2020. It's brought your way by the BCN Law Firm. They've got offices in Winter Park, Claremont, Lakeland, and a brand new office on Highway 466 in the Villages. And their attorneys spend quite a bit of time in all the offices and are always willing to give you some free legal advice at 855-LAW-2020. Our special guest is Wesley Reed. He's from Ameriprise Advisors, AmeripriseAdvisors.com, and they have the 3-minute confident retirement checkup. I kind of like that. And we're taking your calls right now at 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232, 21232. We're off to the races. Here is PJ. How can we help you?
Hello?
You're on.
Hello?
Hey, PJ, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
go ahead and talk, man. You're on the air.
Okay, sounds good.
Good job.
First off, I want to thank you guys for providing the service that you do on the radio. We're down here in Sebring, and we listen to you every now and then. Question I got has to do with Social Security. I'm retired military. I am currently drawing Social Security. I started drawing it at 62. I found out that if you're retired military, there's a little additional spiff that they'll include in your Social Security, not to exceed $1,200 a year, divided up over 12 monthly increments. I don't know whether or not I'm getting this because when I filed it, I did it online. Therefore, I did not have the opportunity to physically present my DD Form 214, my retirement papers, and I'm curious as to whether or not I am in fact receiving this.
PJ, I'll go ahead and take this one. I'm familiar with what you are talking about, and quite candidly, I don't know whether you're receiving it or not, but I am familiar with that letter, and I've got a contact number. If you want to, you can actually do it today and just leave a message at my office, and I can call you tomorrow with a lieutenant's number that I have in the file for this.
All right.
And I'm at 352.
All right, the 352.
394.
394.
8453.
Okay.
And if you'll just leave your name and just a kind of a note, hey, called in on the radio, that type of thing, to just trigger me with what that is,
right.
I will find that piece of paper. And like I said, I do have a contact on that. More than likely what they're going to have you do is contact the Department of Social Security, present your DD-214, and go from there. Go ahead.
What I've done was I've called them a few months ago and asked to make an appointment, and they said, yeah, you're already getting it. Well, how do they know that if I didn't present that DD-14 physically? I mean, are they got a copy of it, or do they have knowledge of it that I'm retired military, or are they just blowing me off?
Well, PJ, that is sadly a question that I can't answer for you. How they know, or whether or not they truthfully do know, is beyond my level of comprehension. But like I said, if you'll leave me a message, I'll be more than happy to contact you tomorrow and give you a number of someone in the military that you can actually contact, and hopefully they can get you a little further down the road.
Well, I certainly appreciate your help, and I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, BJ.
Right, bye-bye.
Well, it's not easy, is it? That's another thing that I think about when I talk to people about retirement. Wade, you and I've said this. You go through your whole life, you think the only decision I've got to make at 62, 66, or 70 is it going to be a Zebco reel and an Evinrude motor, or what am I going to do? No, and it's not what golf club to pick out. You have to really start jumping through a lot of hoops. It's crazy.
It is, and time catches you really quick.
Yeah.
You go from 40 to 65 overnight. So
and don't you forget that, because I'm already 61. I heard you guys talking. You're in your 40s. Young guys. I can't believe it. But very, very professional, and they know what they're doing. Hey, Wes, if somebody's unfamiliar with Ameriprise, tell us a little bit about them.
Well, Ameriprise is actually a spinoff, and it's hard to believe, but it's been 10 years. We were the largest financial spinoff in history. It started as IDS Life back in the 1800s out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And over the years, it grew and grew until the early 80s when it became American Express Financial Advisors. In 2005, we spun off from the credit card. Again, the world's largest financial spinoff in history as Ameriprise. 10 years later, we are the largest financial planning firm in the country and the second largest asset manager in the country as well.
So this is no Johnny-come-lately a bunch of guys sitting around, right?
No, this is a pretty big deal, as it turns out.
A pretty doggone big deal. All right, and Wade, how did you guys come together that you started? You have the legal side, but you knew you had to have the best professionals.
Absolutely, and one of the things, I love working with people, who are not only great professionals, but are truly involved in their community. And Wes is greatly involved in the Clermont community and the Central Florida community. Also, in addition to that, we both have a love for great food and good wine. So it's really easy to share company with Wes because we have a lot of the same things in common. And, you can't help but to see Wes everywhere you go in Clermont. I think he MCs every event that they host that has meaning in Clermont. So he's always the MC of every event.
Well, don't forget, I'm available now in my semi-retirement to MC anything you want me to do. I'll come down and MC your prayer breakfast if you want. All those of you out there, I'll MC your family reunion. All right, I tell you what, we have what is called an open mic during the week. You listen to Joe Kelly, and he's always got open mics all morning. But on the weekends, we invite people to do it, and they just won't do it. But on the open mic, go to that all-new News 96.5 app. Go on that app on your smartphone and just scroll down till you see a button that says open mic. Okay? And when you do open mic, you just hit it. The guys here are going to hear it, and they're going to answer the question. So here we go.
Wade, what happens if I do not sign up for Obamacare today?
I am not an expert in health insurance. Wes, can you answer that? Someone else here in the studio saying a $300 penalty if you do not sign up.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
But you know what? Even if we don't have the answers to some of these things, too, always give us a call at our office and say, I need the answer to this. We work with so many professionals. We can find you the answer.
And I'm not sure all the ramifications of that because I guess it's so new. Nobody really knows.
That's really the biggest thing. You know, when we start talking about Obamacare and what are the penalties and what are this, nobody really does know. It is very new. This is the equivalent of talking about Medicare in 1966. It's just so new. It hasn't been really pushed through the system. And like anything else, there's good and bad, as we've found. Probably one of the best things that has come out of Obamacare, though, which was something tricky for me years ago. And by years, I only mean 3. If somebody came to me and said, well, you know, Wes, what I'm really looking to do is I want to retire at 62. But I don't qualify for Medicare until I'm 65, and my company is not going to allow me to maintain insurance to bridge those 3 years. What do I do? Oh, yeah, and by the way, I have diabetes, and I've had cancer, and I've had this, so how can I get insurance? And the answer was that they couldn't. So if anything else, the Obamacare system has allowed people to bridge that gap and allow some people to make some retirement decisions that might have been a little earlier than what they would have been a few years ago. But, you know, with any federal system, there are so many ins and outs and red tape. None of us really know all of the ramifications at this point.
Yeah. And I don't know, when you talk about the other programs, when you're talking about some of the Medicare Part D and, you know, the others, there is the enrollment period, but then there's also a subsequent enrollment period. So, I mean, is today the final day on this Sunday that we'd have to go to some exchange? I have no idea.
You know, and one of the things I was going to do, Rob, before we ended the show today is, you know, every week we get together, and after a year or so of doing the show, you've covered a lot of topics, and it gets tough to come up with new ideas and new topics every week. So, you know, what I'd like to do is have the listeners call in and say, and this is great, you know, we may have a show. I try to bring someone in the next week or two who specializes in Obamacare. That way we can have someone on the show that can talk about topics to educate the listening audience and to help us. So if anyone out there who's listening has a topic that they would like to hear about, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of other people who have the same needs and same wants. Call into the show and say, I'd really like to hear a show on this topic, and we'll make sure it happens for you.
You know, you would be doing a great public service, which is what BCN Law Firm's all about, and Ameriprise, by doing this, because I've been 31 years with this microphone in this building, and I try to listen to everything all week on all the stations in Orlando and the national. I've never heard anybody yet that has sat down and discussed Obamacare without emotion and without politics. What does it do and what doesn't it do? And is there an enrollment period that, you know, you're going to get penalized? Are they going to take your driver's license away if you don't? There's a million urban myths out there about all this. And so that's a great idea.
Well, let's make it happen. I'll call around and we'll get someone who does specialize in Obamacare, and we'll get them here on the show. But, you know, please, listeners, if you have any topic that you would like to discuss, please call in. What happens is we all get comfortable talking about things that we know well. So we talk about that repeatedly. We would like some different topics to talk about for you, so give us a call.
All right, very good. You can call right now at 855-297-9696 or text us. If you're just an area of the law and you don't want to go on the air, just text. I'd like to know more about red light cameras. I'd like to know more about, leaving my estate to my one kid but not the other kid. You know, whatever it is, you could go ahead and just text us at 21232. Or you could always call the Law 2020 hotline. And that, of course, is 855. Let me get my book over here. Somebody moved my book. But the number is 855-LAW-2020, 855-529-2020. You're listening to Ask the Experts, and we're doing it right now on News 96.5. Well, if you've ever heard any of the talk shows, you always hear about what goes on during the break when you're not here. Yeah, it's like when your mom leaves you all alone in the house for 20 minutes. It gets a little crazy. All right, what is the question? What is the answer on that Obamacare
we
thing,
did.
sir?
We went ahead and looked up the answer to that. And this for the previous caller regarding the penalties for not enrolling in Obamacare today. What we're looking at, the 2015 fine is $325 per person, or 2% of your household income, the higher of the two. Now, there are several exceptions to this rule where you may not have to pay the fine if any of these apply to you. That being, your income is below the tax filing limit. You suffer a hardship that prevents you from being able to buy health coverage. Health coverage is unaffordable to you. You are incarcerated. The time you go without coverage is less than 3 months. You have a religious objection. You are an undocumented immigrant, or you are a member of an Indian tribe. And this is all available under getcoveredamerica.org. Again, that information available under getcoveredamerica.org.
So it doesn't say if I sign up Tuesday, what's going to happen to me?
No, it
Probably
is not
a penalty.
100% clear on that.
Probably a penalty. Not
likely.
too bad. All right, very quickly, we got a lot of phone calls. We got to get to them fast. Let's start off with Chad. And Chad, we're going to make it real quick. So what's your question?
Absolutely. I bought my house back in 2010, and through my HOA there was a $4,000 capital contribution fee, which was $3,000 more than a normal sale. My house was in foreclosure for greater than 120 days, so my HOA made an amendment to increase the capital contribution to $4,000 for a non-typical sale. About 2 years ago, they decided to rescind that, so now it's back to $1,000. So just curious if I would have any recourse to be able to recoup that $3,000.
Have you reviewed your HOA documents? Did they have the authority to increase it from 1,000 to 3,000? And did they do it across the board? Did they just do it to you, or did they do it to all homeowners?
On the master document, yeah.
So did they do it to you only?
No, sir, that was anybody.
Okay, as long as it's in the master document and they could do it across the board, there's really no recourse. You know, a lot of the HOA documents that we draft or that we review have special assessment provisions. And as long as the board approves and authorizes that special assessment, then they can charge it, unfortunately.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks, Chad.
All right, let's go to Peter real quickly. And Peter, sounds like you had some bad luck, man.
No, I actually had good luck. When my car got broken into, my neighbor, God bless her, is like Gladys Kravitz, and called the police. The guy got caught by Orlando police. Went to the state attorney's office because he had 300 charges or something like that. He pled out with the state attorney, and now I'm trying to get my evidence back from Orlando police, and the state attorney really said, on the phone Thursday, he said, I don't know what to do about that. You have to take it up with Orlando police. So I'm just trying to get my stuff back after it's been since October.
Yeah, you should be able to get your stuff back, especially if they've already pled out and the case has been closed. I don't understand why they haven't given it to you. I'll tell you what, give me a call tomorrow in the office. I'll put you in touch with Brian Monk. Brian Monk is our criminal law attorney, and he has a lot of relationships both with the police, 4 different police forces around Central Florida, and with a lot of the state attorneys and prosecutors. So give us a call. We'll see what we can do to help you get your stuff back.
Okay, now we're down to Ted. And Ted, you got a Social Security question. We only have 2 minutes to spend with you.
Okay, what I'm talking about is Social Security. It's really the Medicare payments. When I retired, the payments were based on what I was still making, and my retirement has finally kicked in 2013, and my Medicare payments have finally come down. However, in 2013, I was paying at a higher rate, or I paid at a higher rate. However, my income was at a lower rate. Do I get that extra money back?
You know, Ted, again, this is an area that I cannot answer right off the top of my head, but I'd be glad to help you with. Generally, I try to give it a shot, but I don't even want to give this one a shot because I'll be making just a complete guess for you. So give me a call Monday if you would, and let's see if we can't help you find that answer. And you can reach me at Law 2020.
All right, guys, how about websites and phone numbers? And we'll start off with Wesley.
All right, thank you. The website, again, that's ameriprizeadvisors.com/WESLEY.X.REED. Again, ameriprizeadvisors.com/Wesley.X.Reed. You can also search for me on Facebook at Wesley C. Reed, CRPC. And the phone number of the office, 352-394-8453.
All right, very good. And how about you, Wade?
You can reach us at 352-394-2103 or 855-LAW-2020. A great way to reach us is look at our website, which is BCNLawfirm.com. We've got people that can answer your questions right there on the website.
All right, very good. And that's just about going to wrap us up for this show. We continue to ask the experts all weekend long. Don't forget, we have lots of great shows coming up. We're going to hear from the Talon Wealth Management people. We're going to get your house all fixed up with Universal. And we got Dr. Klein coming in, the stages of life. It's going to be a busy day as we ask the experts right here on News 96.5. Thank our guests. Thanks, Tim, for doing a great job. Luis on photography. I'm Rob Newton, and we will see you later on this afternoon.